At first glance, you might think this work represents a simple scene, a magician deceiving a fool while the crowd watches. But is it really that simple? This painting hides dozens of hidden messages and is filled with symbols that go completely unnoticed. If we look closely, there's a frog emerging from the mouth of the person staring intently at the trick. In the basket of the supposed swindler, there's an owl. Under the table, there's a dog in disguise, and of course a mysterious figure is stealing money from the person being deceived. I can assure you that each of these details is not there by chance. This painting is called The Conjurer, and it was painted by Hieronymus Bosch in 1502. One of the most intriguing painters in history, whose works you might know include The Garden of Earthly Delights, The Vision of Tondel, or Christ in Limbo. His famous creatures have traveled the world and have been subjects of interpretation for many years. Perhaps this painting doesn't feature as striking figures as his other works, but I can assure you that it holds a much deeper meaning than a mere 16th century magic trick. Let's begin. During the Middle Ages, magic and illusionism were subjects of great fascination and mystery. Unlike modern magic, which relies on entertainment and technical skill, medieval magic was often intertwined with supernatural beliefs and religious fears. During this time, conjurers or illusionists were viewed ambivalently. On one hand, they could be seen as mere entertainers who amazed the public with tricks and deceptions. On the other hand, they could be perceived as dangerous magicians or even witches, especially if their abilities were mistaken for supernatural powers. The tricks of medieval conjurers often involved the appearance and disappearance of objects, surprising transformations, and visual effects that defied logic. These acts were impressive, but they could also be misinterpreted as manifestations of dark or heretical magic. In an environment where the line between accepted magic and condemned witchcraft was thin, illusionists had to navigate carefully between entertainment and potential danger. The Conjurer fits into this context of ambiguity and fascination. Instead of simply representing a magic trick, the painting addresses much deeper themes through hidden symbols that we will analyze throughout this video. In this case, I won't go too deeply into the life of Hieronymus Bosch, as you can find a video on my channel where I talk in much more detail about this mysterious artist. In the center of this painting stands the Conjurer, a figure dressed in red that stands out among the others. The color red in medieval iconography often symbolized passion, temptation, and sometimes sin. In Bosch's paintings, the influence of colors is significant, and the use of red here is no accident. This conjurer holds a small ball in his hand, apparently hypnotizing the spectator in front of him. This act of hypnosis and deception is crucial for understanding the role of the conjurer in the painting. He is not just an entertainer, but a symbol of falsehood and deceit. His ability to divert attention from reality and create an illusion represents how people can be easily manipulated by superficial appearances. The deceived spectator is also a key figure in the painting's interpretation. The gender of the deceived person is not explicitly clear, but in many analyses, it is assumed to be a man, considering the clothing and the context of the era. His expression of astonishment and his leaning posture suggest that he is completely absorbed in the conjurer's trick. A frog emerges from his mouth, a symbol loaded with negative connotations in the medieval context. Frogs were seen as impure creatures, often associated with the devil and heresy. The frog's appearance from the spectator's mouth can symbolize credulity and stupidity, suggesting that the conjurer's deception has spiritually and morally contaminated the spectator. The frog emerging from the spectator's mouth has biblical and folkloric resonances. In the Bible, specifically in the book of Revelation, frogs are mentioned as unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, reinforcing the idea of corrupt words and deception. The owl in the conjurer's basket is another intriguing element. In medieval iconography, owls often symbolized darkness, ignorance, and the occult. They were creatures of the night, associated with hidden knowledge and danger. In this context, the owl can represent perverted wisdom and knowledge used for malicious purposes. The presence of the owl in the conjurer's basket suggests that he possesses dark and dangerous knowledge, which he uses to deceive and manipulate others. The conjurer's assistant, who is seen stealing the deceived spectator's purse, reinforces the idea that the conjurer is more than just an entertainer. He is a swindler who takes advantage of his audience's naivety. The complicity between the conjurer and his assistant relates to a broader critique of societal corruption and deceit. This act of theft is not just a minor offense. In the painting's context, it symbolizes how the powerful, represented by the conjurer and his assistant, exploit and take advantage of common people's naivety and trust. Among the observers of the scene, the figure of a nun stands out, who also seems mesmerized by the conjurer's trick. The presence of this religious figure in the crowd is a critique of the church and its representatives. The nun, as a figure of purity and devotion, should be immune to deception. However, her inclusion in the scene suggests that even the church's representatives can be corrupted and deceived. This resonates with the ideas of the Devotio Moderna, a movement Bosch sympathized with. The Devotio Moderna criticized corruption and hypocrisy within the church, promoting a more personal and sincere spirituality. The nun hypnotized by the conjurer reflects how even those who should be models of righteousness can succumb to temptation and deceit, highlighting human frailty and the need for authentic and personal faith. There are still several elements left to analyze, such as the child who is watching the person being deceived, or the dog disguised under the table. But before we continue, I want to remind you that you can now have this painting in your home. On our website, you can find a selection of over 300 historical paintings available for you to collect. You have the option to buy your favorite painting in the size you want and in different finishes, such as fine art print, gallery canvas, or framed canvas. I have personally ensured that the quality is the best on the market so that you can have a high quality piece for a lifetime. You can also buy one of these paintings as a phone case, so in addition to protecting your phone, you'll always have a work of art in your pocket. Shipping is completely free worldwide. So, once you finish watching the video, I invite you to visit the catalog and place your order. Thanks to the people who support the channel by shopping at the store, you make videos like this possible. Below the person being deceived, there is a child with a toy windmill. This is another significant detail in the painting. In medieval iconography, windmills often symbolized the changing and capricious nature of fortune. The child, being more interested in the expression of the deceived spectator than in the trick itself, represents the innocence and curiosity of a soul that has not yet been corrupted. The conjurer's table is full of objects that, at first glance, seem to be common tools of an illusionist: cups, balls, and a wand. However, these objects may also have a deeper symbolic meaning. The table itself can be seen as an altar, and the objects as instruments of a profane ritual. This reinforces the idea that the conjurer is a heretical figure who desecrates the sacred. The arrangement of these objects and the way they are used suggest that the conjurer is performing a ritual of deception and manipulation, a kind of dark parody of religious rituals. It is a way of representing how appearances can be manipulated to seem legitimate and sacred, when in reality they conceal corruption and falsehood. At the feet of the conjurer, there is a small dog with a jester's hat. In the Middle Ages, dogs often symbolized loyalty and vigilance. However, in this context, the dog with the jester's hat represents mockery and madness. It indicates that the whole performance of the conjurer is a farce, a mockery of intelligence and reason. The presence of the dog reinforces the idea that the audience, including the deceived spectator, is being ridiculed and belittled. This jester dog reflects the notion that truth and reason are being mocked and discredited in the process of deception, making the entire scene a theater of the absurd. When you first saw this painting, you probably thought it was simply a scene of a man being deceived by a conjurer or a magician, but it is not. In this work, Bosch created a critique of society, depicting an audience represented by common citizens and even the church being deceived by a man who possesses dark knowledge and intentions to defraud people. The most striking aspect of this painting is that, although the elements are clearly visible, without delving into their meaning, it is almost impossible to understand the painting as it truly is. They might seem like trivial elements in a painting, but every detail that Bosch painted in this work has a much deeper significance. Surely, 500 years ago, it would have been more challenging to understand this work, as it was much more difficult to access the information I have provided throughout this video. But today, by understanding the meanings of each element of this painting more thoroughly, we can decipher the hidden meaning of this curious work. Bosch did not just paint a scene of deception, he created a complex allegory about human credulity, corruption, and hypocrisy. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I would love to hear your thoughts on this painting, and if you have any other interpretations for any of the elements we've analysed in the video, as I'm sure there are details I haven't mentioned that could be very interesting. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. On Inspiragio.com, you'll find the catalogue to purchase your favourite painting, and my social media links will be in the description if you want to see more art content. See you in the next video. Goodbye.